What do hardcore Bond fans really think of Amazon taking over full control of 007? After the news broke, social media lit up with hot takes, some furious, others hopeful. But rather than guess, I decided to poll my newsletter subscribers to find out what they really thought. Now, I don't believe that studios should pander to what the fans want. That is not how great art and great storytelling works. But I am interested in the mindset of people who really care about James Bond. So I came up with these 5 questions. What are your biggest hopes for Bond under Amazon? What are your biggest fears? If Amazon were to expand the Bond universe beyond the films, what would you prefer? How do you feel about merchandise and brand extension under Amazon? And finally, do you think that Amazon MGM will handle the Bond franchise well? Now, you may have your own opinion of these, and since you're watching this, I'm pretty sure that you do. So let's dig into them one at a time. Okay. So question 1, what are your biggest hopes for Bond under Amazon MGM? Now, 36.8% said they want a cinematic event-level Bond, a grand spectacle. Neck and neck, 36.3% said they want a return to regular Bond films on a 2 or 3 year cycle. I think many of us agree with that. Then 21% said their biggest hope is that Amazon respects Bond's legacy and character. Just 2.1% said they would like smart, well-integrated spin-offs. So not much demand for that, really. Question 2. What are your biggest fears for 007 under Amazon MGM? 27.6% said their biggest fear is that Bond loses his uniqueness. A couple of points behind that, on 25.3%, said their biggest fear is too many spin-offs and streaming shows. 19.6%, they said their biggest fear is Bond is shaped by algorithms and focus groups. 16% said the franchise loses its British identity. And 8.1% said Bond is just a brand to be monetized. Now, if we move to question 3, if Amazon were to expand the Bond universe beyond the main films, what would you prefer? Now, this is pretty unequivocal. 57.4% said no spin-offs, just focus on the films. That is a huge margin. In second place, on 27.3%, they said limited, high-quality spin-offs that fit within the film universe. Okay, so yeah, I guess it could be Felix Leiter, Moneypenny, something like that. I'm not so interested in that kind of spin-off. I'd be more interested in good quality travel shows that take you to places Bond has visited and documentaries behind the scenes, you know, a bit like the extras that you used to get on DVDs and so on. And, but, you know, a bit more depth to them. Third place, 10.4%, a mix of film and streaming projects, but only if handled carefully. And on 2.8%, a full Bond cinematic universe with multiple timelines and characters. Just 2.8% want to have a full Bond cinematic universe, go down the Marvel route and Star Wars route. So there's not much support in the hardcore Bond fan community, I would say, for that. Question 4. How do you feel about Bond merchandise and brand expansion under Amazon? Now, 50.3%, that's almost exactly half, said, I'm fine with more Bond products as long as the films remain high quality. 33.3%, a third, said, it worries me. Amazon might prioritize monetization over storytelling. And 13.4% said, I welcome it. More Bond books, collectibles, and content is a good thing. one thing I'd like to say that with the first 4 questions that we've just covered, there was an other option where people could type in their answers. I wanted to do that to see if there was any consensus answer that I hadn't actually put in the multiple choice. And to be honest, there wasn't really, and most people didn't use that option anyway. The one small strand that I found was that people suggesting that Bond should be set in the 1950s or 1960s when the books were written. And people have said that to me before, that they'd like to see a period Bond. So that's the only thing that came out of that, I think. So let's move on to question 5. This is one. Do you think Amazon MGM will handle the Bond franchise well? 49.4% said, I'm cautiously optimistic, but worried about some aspects. Okay. That's half of all people. 30% said, no, I think they will hurt the franchise. That is a big chunk of people who are worried about a Bond under Amazon. But yes, we'll find out once we've got a film, but there is some worry there. 15.8 say they're unsure, need more information. And then 4.8% said, yes, I trust they'll make the smart decisions. That is less than 1 person in 20 trusts Amazon to do the right thing with Bond. There you have it.